Skilling profitability. A topic Jagex is pushing, and with the recent announcement and unannouncement of the PVM drop table nerfs, it was also mentioned that the nerfs were in part related to making skilling more valuable. Yet since the start of this video, you've been looking at skilling moneymakers that are all pretty decent profit. Sure, a lot of them relate to runecrafting, but there are a lot of ways to make money without ever slaying a boss. So what are we so worried about? Plus, let's be honest, skilling should, at most, be half the amount of GP an hour of some of the best bosses in the game, because you need to put in actual effort to obtain those rates at bosses, versus most skilling methods that are quite brain dead. Personally, the only thing I'm actually worried about is reaching 10k subscribers by the end of 2025, so don't forget to subscribe and leave a like as well to help me out. The post I was referencing at the start of the video had the following quote. The value of certain items, like skilling supplies, have been heavily impacted due to previous balancing decisions. These changes aim to curb supply slightly, giving prices a chance to gradually recover. To translate that in normal terms, we are nerfing bosses, well, they were going to until they backtracked, to make actual gathering set skilling supplies more profitable. But would that even have worked? Personally, I don't think so, and that's why I'm making this video. If you watch my previous video on the PVM nerfs, I'm going to repeat something I said in that, but don't worry, I'm gonna also talk about a lot of other things as well. The supply and demand are out of whack. Yes, partially because bosses drop so many skilling supplies, but mainly because set skilling supplies are not actually used at the same rate they enter the game. Most of you watching probably have used lamps or proteins before. I can't even think of the last time, besides money making reasons, that I personally used a pure essence or actual logs to train the related skills, because I had a buttload of proteins from Jagex and just using my daily spins. And truthfully, most of you watching are probably in that same boat. Them being your best option also makes absolute sense as well. I mean, if proteins weren't that great, people would not want to buy keys, but even when you don't buy keys like myself, you still have plenty of these supplies to go a long way to 99, 110 or 120, meaning that the actual skilling supplies needed for those levels are not being used at the rate they are entering the game. So sure, decreasing the amount coming from PVM would have an effect. Removing proteins or lamps probably would have an actual impact on it. On top of that, most of the methods that give you these skilling supplies are actually quite bad to do. Either the gathering rate is pretty abysmal, like with magic logs, the experience usually kind of sucks too, and quite frankly, they are usually not the most engaging piece of content to do either. So unless Jagex changes that, I don't think a nerf like this would have had the impact they expected. Yet we're talking about something that isn't happening anymore, at least not for now, as Jagex is taking more time to reconsider the nerf to the PVM drop tables. The topic of skilling profitability is still something they're actually focused on. So let's look at this from a different angle. How could we make skilling more profitable, and honestly, can we? Because even with the recent addition of the paradox spell, it didn't really have an impact on skilling profitability either, as it allows you to pretty much get double supplies at the cost of no experience. And yes, I know you need 88 magic for it, but catering to level 3 skillers is something Jagex should never do, as it's a self-imposed restriction. We are talking about people here that don't want to do bossing or are incapable of doing so, which by the way, you can do anything you set your mind to. However, we haven't even talked about the biggest issue. The accessibility or approachability of skilling. Unlike an endgame boss like Rashol, Elite Dungeons, AOD, everyone can skill. So if a method is introduced that is great money, chances are it won't be for long because many people can do it. So it might be good for the first few weeks or months, but after that it will fall in the category of just another decent moneymaker like the ones you saw at the start of the video. Unless the requirements are super high, the supplies gathered are also leaving the game, sometimes even at a rate quicker than they're entering it, and it being slightly tedious to do. Wait, this does sound like the accidental firemaking and fletching update. That used to be great money, till Jagex increased the rates because it really sucked for Ironman and even for mains to keep up with the God Arrow consumption rate. So my question is, what do you want, Jagex? Do you want Ironmans as PVMers to be happy, or skillers? Because I don't think you can have it both really, as the approachability of skilling is its biggest downfall. Plus, if the skilling supplies are used in PVM and it's super expensive, they will complain. And if it isn't used in PVM, but it's still expensive, skillers won't buy it either because it's, well, too expensive. So I think in the grand scheme of things, sure, it might be worthwhile looking at methods that can make money, but competitive money makers with PVM, besides the fact that it's ridiculous due to the skill required to do PVM, and I'm not even a big PVMer, will simply just not work. The only solution to skilling money makers is making more bosses like Croesus or Gate that have rare valuable drops, and yes I know you need to save Vorcap before you can take on the Gate, which I think is silly too, but I don't see any other way to make skilling truly profitable. But that's just what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below, leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and my name's Chevalric, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Goodbye!